In his newly released memoir, Hope, Pope Francis opens up about the most challenging moments of his papacy, offering a deeply personal reflection on his journey. One of the most poignant revelations in the book centers around the moment when Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI handed him a large white box filled with documents that chronicled some of the most painful and difficult situations facing the Catholic Church, including cases of abuse, corruption, and other wrongdoings within the institution. Pope Francis recalls this moment with vivid detail. Benedict handed him the box and simply said, "Everything is in here, and now it's your turn to address these issues." For Francis, this marked the beginning of a new chapter in his papacy, one in which he would face the reality of these grave problems head-on. The fact that Benedict chose to pass on this responsibility to Francis speaks volumes about the enormity of the challenges that the Catholic Church had to confront, particularly in relation to the sexual abuse scandals that had plagued the Church for years. Throughout the memoir, Pope Francis acknowledges the weight of responsibility he feels for the actions of some clergy members. He expresses his deep sorrow for the harm done to victims, emphasizing that he feels called to take responsibility for all the evil committed by certain priests. His openness about these struggles highlights his commitment to addressing these issues and initiating reforms within the Church, even as he also contemplates the broader cultural and spiritual landscape in which these crises have unfolded. While Hope provides an intimate look at the personal side of Pope Francis, it does not delve deeply into specific new revelations about the abuse scandals or other controversies that have marred his papacy. Instead, the memoir takes a broader approach, exploring the Pope's thoughts on the state of the world, the rise of populism, the plight of refugees, and the importance of mercy. He reflects on his own human imperfections, admitting that he continues to make errors and sins, just as he did as a young man. In this sense, the memoir is a meditation on the complexity of leadership, humility, and the ongoing struggle for justice and mercy. One of the more striking aspects of Hope is Pope Francis' candid reflection on his own flaws. He writes that he feels he has a reputation that he does not deserve and that he has been awarded public esteem that he believes is not fully warranted. Despite these feelings of humility, Francis acknowledges that his papacy has been shaped by a sense of responsibility and a commitment to creating positive change within the Church and beyond. His memoir offers an important reminder that, even in positions of immense power, humility and self-awareness remain essential. In addition to his reflections on the Church's challenges, Pope Francis uses his memoir to address some of the most pressing issues facing the world today. Drawing on his experiences growing up in Argentina, his views on the dangers of populism and the plight of migrants and refugees are central themes in the book. He draws parallels between today's rise of populism and the political climate of the 1930s, especially in relation to Adolf Hitler's rise to power. The Pope's personal history, shaped by his own family's near-miss with tragedy when his grandparents' ship sank, gives him a unique perspective on the dangers faced by today's migrants. His calls for compassion and support for refugees are not just theological, but deeply personal as well. Pope Francis also continues to champion the rights of marginalized groups, especially LGBTQ+ people, in his memoir. He reiterates his belief that God loves all people, regardless of their sexual orientation, and expresses his firm support for inclusive and compassionate approaches within the Church. His advocacy for transgender individuals is particularly moving, as he describes a meeting with a group of transgender women in the Vatican, calling them daughters of God. Ultimately, Hope is a reflection of Pope Francis' deep-rooted humility, his ongoing commitment to reform, and his concern for the well-being of the world's most vulnerable. Despite the challenges and setbacks of his papacy, Francis remains committed to his vision of a more merciful, compassionate, and just world. His memoir, written over 6 years in collaboration with Carlo Musso, provides readers with a unique insight into the heart and mind of a pope who, despite his position of power, remains deeply connected to the struggles of ordinary people and determined to address the most difficult issues facing the Church and the world. As the Pope contemplates the future, he reflects on his own health and acknowledges that while resignation is a possibility, he has not seriously considered it. He continues to embrace his role with a sense of humor and grounded humility, choosing to live in the Casa Santa Marta guest house rather than the papal apartments, staying close to the people. His memoir, which was originally slated for posthumous release but was brought forward to coincide with the Church's Jubilee year, captures both the fragility and strength of a man who has dedicated his life to serving others, despite the personal and institutional challenges that have come his way.